Está se actualiza en vivo. Así que si tuitean algo por ahí aparecen. Un buen momento para empezar. Vamos a ver si le pone tanta onda como el otro día de Android Show. Aunque creo que el marketing para Flutter es menos que el de Android. Sí, con web estable sirve, tal cual. Creo que lo que estamos esperando eso para decir sí, es estable y me la juego porque es estable. Seguramente voy a estar muteando el micrófono para que no moleste tanto el audio.
You ever traveled somewhere and saw kids playing soccer? There's something really fascinating about how sport transcends all cultures, languages, history. Over the years, I've dabbled in every sport imaginable. And I think that's part of the reason when I launched Push that I was absolutely inspired by how we can help athletes across all sports.
I've represented the British diving team since 2015, competing at European and world level. This is really where fine margins make all the difference, which is why I started using Push.
Push is an advanced strength training wearable. Part of our mission is to optimize athletic training.
Esta parte parece que es la parte de publicidad. Ah, ok. Se me colgó el OBS, voy a reiniciarlo.
Rep by rep feedback in real time, so my lifting becomes more flexible and efficient, which helps me improve my strength as a diver.
We were constantly getting requests for Android support. And one of our challenges is that we were a small team, and we knew that trying to support two different code bases was going to be super difficult. With Flutter, we are able to save roughly a day a week in just syncing two different code bases. It's really enabled us to push out a lot more features a lot faster. Being a wearable, we really needed to make sure that the Bluetooth connection was going to be robust and reliable, that it can handle any type of data transfer that we need. And we were blown away by just how performant Flutter was. We really wanted to make sure that our technology can scale and can help impact athletes' lives at various levels of development. And that's something that I'm really proud of.
Push gives me motivation to see how far I can go and what I can achieve. That ultimately means the Olympics.
Avísenme si se escucha mejor el audio ahí. Ahí se destrabó el OBS. Here we go. Me hace recordar a Mario Bros. It's me, Mario.
Welcome to Flutter Engage. We're so glad to have you join us virtually wherever you are. It's been a tough year for many, and so we're thrilled to share some good news as we show you some of what we've been working on and announce some new things that we think you'll like. Our theme for this year's event is to highlight the flexibility and portability of Flutter as a complete UI toolkit for building beautiful apps for any platform. And today is a key milestone for Flutter with the launch of Flutter 2, a major update
Flutter
to
2
Flutter that builds on the
anunciado.
momentum and foundation of previous releases and opens up a broad range of new target platforms for production use. Over the next hour, you're going to hear us talk about Flutter on Android and iOS, as well as web and desktop. You're going to hear from companies like Microsoft, Canonical, and Toyota. And you're going to learn more about how our work on Dart provides a unique technical envelope for your code, providing a portable, productive, and robust combination of capabilities for building apps. Flutter is the first UI platform that is designed for an ambient computing world. And this vision is unique to Flutter, a portable toolkit for building beautiful, native, fast experiences wherever you might want to paint pixels on the screen. Our goal is to shift you from having to start with the platform you're targeting and focus instead on what you want to create. Some UI toolkits impose tight constraints on what you can build. They limit your creative expression to what fits within the toolkit. But Flutter allows you to handcraft beautiful experiences where your brand and design comes to the forefront. Flutter is fast. It compiles your source to machine code. But thanks to features like stateful hot reload, you still get the productivity of interpreted environments, allowing you to make changes while your app is running and see the results immediately. And of course, Flutter is open, with thousands of contributors adding to the core framework and extending it with an ecosystem of packages. So the big news in Flutter 2 is that we broadened Flutter from a mobile framework to a portable framework, unleashing your apps to run on a wide variety of different platforms with little or no change. As of right now,
Puedes hablar
there are
como pirata,
already
tío.
over
The bloody pirate.
150,000 Flutter apps out there, and that number has doubled just since last summer. These apps come from big teams at big companies, as well as entrepreneurs and startups who simply want to share their idea with the world. And we thought we'd show you some of our favorites.
Ahí viene el Application Showcase. Ahí bajamos un poquito el volumen mientras la música se pone fuerte. Che, hay cosas bastante lindas diseñadas. La verdad que miro eso y después miro mis aplicaciones y me doy cuenta que me falta tiempo para... o un diseñador que le ponga onda. No llego ni a la mitad de estos diseños. No, en nativo hago lo que me dice el diseñador en el laburo, pero digo las que hago en Flutter para los videos o para mí.
What's in Flutter 2? You can think of Flutter 2 as a free upgrade for your app. We've shipped about 10 updates to Flutter since our original launch, but in this release, we add support for something worthy of a major version upgrade, a major increase in the number of users you can reach. If you've built a Flutter app so far, you've probably been thinking primarily about iOS and Android. But with Flutter 2, your app can target 4 additional platforms: Windows, macOS, Linux, and the web.
Ahí está el release de todas las plataformas.
Android to that list, you can see how uniquely flexible Flutter
¿Estarán
is,
estables? Todavía no nos
with
dijeron nada de
native
eso.
support for 6 different platforms and the ability to tailor the experience for each platform without compromising performance. Flutter is perfectly suited to both rapid iteration and high quality results. So, to demonstrate Flutter's versatility in action, we asked our friends at G-Skinner to create a demo app that spans all these platforms. Let's show you what they've created.
Demo
Hi,
time.
everyone. Here at G-Skinner, we've created a variety of Flutter apps that compile to...
Está muy buena esa aplicación. Yo la probé en Ubuntu en su momento y
For
está
this
bastante buena.
project, we wanted to go beyond that and build something that purposefully considered the norms, user expectations, input devices, and idioms for each platform to create an app that truly felt at home on every device. We also wanted to leverage the unique strengths of each platform to power a creative workflow. After some brainstorming, we decided to build a scrapbooking app called Flutterfolio.
Ya anunciaron que Flutter 2 sale. No dijeron en qué estado está cada plataforma todavía. Si son estables o son betas todavía.
let's take a closer look at how the app works on different devices. Mobile devices are great because they're portable, follow us everywhere, and they usually have a camera built in. Given that, we focus the small screen experience around capturing content. Let's say you were on a walk and you bumped into Tim and his rabbit Carl. You could use the mobile-friendly UI to quickly navigate to an existing scrapbook and reminisce about shared experiences. Or navigate to your furry friends folio and snap a few pictures of Carl to add in later. Of course, larger screens provide a lot more space and improved precision, which makes them ideal for creative work, like editing a scrapbook. So when you get back from your walk, super excited to add in your new photos of Carl, you can fire up the app, maximize it via the native controls and the custom title bar, and use your scroll wheel or arrow keys to navigate to a scrapbook you're looking for. While editing, you can use desktop-specific idioms like multi-select, native menus,
La verdad que muy fluida, ¿eh?
context menus, and scroll wheel zoom.
Hay que ver qué Mac es, pero
But of course,
debe ser
not
una
all
de
large screens are the same.
16 o una
When
M1.
working on a touch device, the UI adapts in a variety of ways, such as providing larger hit areas and exposing functionality through contextual buttons instead of right-click menus.
Yo tengo una de
Last,
16
but not least,
pulgadas
we wanted to target
con
the
16
web.
GB de RAM
These days,
y
browsing
una
capability
placa
is
Radeon.
everything you can do in a native app.
Todavía no me pasé al
No
M1,
app runs
voy a esperar a
there.
la segunda generación.
But the web is unique in the ease with which content can be shared. We leverage that strength to let you share a read-only version of your scrapbook. For example, to share your amazing new page with Tim and Carl, so they can follow along in real time as you make new updates. This URL is actually live right now if you want to go check out Carl. Of course, we barely skimmed the surface today, so I'd like to invite you to visit flutter.gskinner.com, where you'll find more info, source code, and links to the app. We also learned a ton building this, and we're excited to share that knowledge on our blog and via Twitter. Ultimately, we were able to build an app that runs great and feels at home on 3 form factors, 5 OSs, and the web, while reusing over 95% of our code. We built Flutterfolio with best practices in mind. You can check out the source code to start making your apps platform adaptive today.
If you want to experiment with this app further, the source code is available at flutter.gskinner.com. And for more on great design practices with Flutter, check out the separate talk with Filip Hracek that we're posting live today. Of course, there are hundreds of other new features in Flutter 2. We continue to make progress on foundational areas that you and your customers care about, improving performance and stability, supporting the latest UI trends and widgets, and increasing accessibility. We've completed our work on a new state restoration API. We've support for running on Apple Silicon. We've added multi-line text editing and keyboard shortcuts. We've added interactive scroll bars.
Ok, un montón de cambios técnicos por todos lados.
And we closed nearly 6,000 issues. The full list of pull requests merged is a 200-page document to give you a sense of the size of this upgrade. And we have a blog post
Un
with a lot more details.
poquito de cambio, dijo.
Flutter isn't just being used outside Google. Over 1,000 engineers inside the company are using Dart and Flutter to develop apps today, representing over 30 different teams. And the apps that you see on this list here are already shipping using Flutter. One of the largest apps from Google using Flutter is Google Pay. And Timothy Jordan recently sat down with Piyush Ranjan, who's the Vice President of Engineering for Google Pay, to ask him about their experiences with Flutter. Let's hear what they had to say.
Hey Piyush, Timothy here. Ever since Google Pay moved to Flutter, we've been getting some questions from our developers. Was it an effective move for you, and would you recommend it to other teams?
Hi Timothy, thanks for asking. In a nutshell, I'll say yes, it was absolutely effective. You might have heard of Google Pay, but let me first tell you the scale of the problem. You know, we are trying to launch in 30 countries on 2 platforms, Android and iOS, and serve users in all these countries. We have 150 million plus users.
Para mí está bueno que haya diversidad, que no haya solo Firebase. Que el de AWS lo estoy probando ahora para ver qué tal anda. Bastante simple de integrar. A mí no me gusta el esquema de pricing de AWS. Es como más complicado todavía que Firebase. O sea, más incertidumbre para mí. Pero después hay un par de plataformas open source que puedes hostear vos mismo y tiene todas las mismas funcionalidades o pretende tener las mismas funcionalidades. Está bueno que haya diversidad en ese sentido.
1.1 million lines compared to 1.7 million lines. And at the same time, our tech debt went down by 90% on a per engineer basis. Now, once the rewrite was done, we also found that our engineers were 20% more productive in terms of feature implemented because of the rewrite. We were also able to merge all the duplicate release process, experimentation.
Y no sé si es que lo favorecen, ese es su producto de software as a service, es normal que apunten para eso. Mientras no bloqueen que una integración con otra sea más difícil, no me parece que está mal que ellos promocionen su propia plataforma. O sea, no tienen por qué salir a hacer los plugins para Azure si es de otra empresa. Mientras no entorpezcan, yo creo que no hay problema.
Yes, I will recommend it to any team that builds on multiple platforms.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today, Piyush.
So one of the most interesting things about mobile development is that phones come in so many different shapes and sizes. And one of the latest trends is foldable phones. One great example of this form factor is the Surface Duo from Microsoft.
No sé ustedes, yo cada vez que veo los teléfonos los que se doblan, los veo tan lejos, por lo menos en Argentina. No sé cómo es en sus países. Lo veo como es algo que pasa en Estados Unidos, acá va a llegar dentro de 5 años para poder comprarlos y que sean accesibles.
In the last year, we've seen new device form factors emerge, the foldable and dual screen devices. This new form factor is great for productivity when you're in your home office or when you're on the go. The device adapts to you. When you're creating content, playing a game, watching a video, typing, or just reading and browsing the web. For us,
claro, acá por ahí vi uno también en alguna vidriera, pero no conozco nadie que se lo haya comprado o tenga ganas de gastar la cantidad de plata que sale para probar si no se rompe.
When thinking about two screens, you can also utilize various dual screen design patterns, such as the least detail view, the companion pane, and other ways to organize your application UI. The foldable form factor also provides opportunities for your app to share content with another app. For example, when two apps are running side by
Eso sí, eso de usabilidad de poder
there is more functionality to your
abrir dos vistas o el drag and drop entre pantallas, eso está bueno. Tiene pinta para el futuro.
Today, we're happy to announce that we're collaborating with Google and bringing foldable support to Flutter. We're contributing code to enable
Sí, igual depende, Corbata, un poco del mercado. Si apuntás a Estados Unidos, por ahí sí, pero qué sé yo, si haces aplicaciones para Argentina, tenés que hacer Android porque iPhone no tiene tanta penetración de mercado. Todo depende para dónde labures. Bueno, y así todo, yo trabajo por una empresa americana y hago Android porque tiene una base de datos, una base de usuarios grande.
Let's run the Flutter Gallery app and look at the widget. The app is started on a single screen, so let's span it across both screens now. As you can see, the app reacts natively to dual screens and repositions the assets across both panes. This is typically the first step that you will take in your app. Start thinking today of the new layouts that you may want to show now that you have two screens. But Flutter is all about widgets, so let's see those in action. We've added foldable support for the existing Flutter widgets. For example, when you use a dialog, it will now be hinge aware and will display according to your choice on the right or left pane.
Noten que es un Android emulator emulando un Windows Phone corriendo en Windows. O sea, una mezcla de cosas hay acá corriendo Flutter adentro.
We call it a two-pane widget. You can use it to place assets on the right pane or on the left pane. It will also display correctly on a single-screen phone or a tablet-like device. The two-pane widgets makes it easy to support all these new form factors. But enough with demos, let's dig into some code now. We've added display features to Media Query. You can use it to query the type of displays you have and the position of the hinge. When you're using the two-pane widget, add your own widget and content to either the left or right pane. Let's summarize what's new.
Ok, si ese two-pane es un nuevo widget, está buenísimo porque nos facilita todo el tema de cómo se elabora con doble pantalla. Sería un golazo.
The code and widgets we've previewed here are ready for your review and your feedback. We want to meet developers where they are at, and today we're super excited to share this news with you, the great Flutter community. All the samples and widgets are open source and ready for your contribution. We're excited to see what you
Parece que Flutter Foldable es un proyecto separado, pero seguramente va a terminar integrado en algún momento.
So let's talk about portability. Last year we gave you an early preview of web support.
Esto es lo que estábamos esperando, a ver.
So today
Sí, Flutter for Web estable. Ahí está lo que estábamos esperando.
This is a huge leap forward for Flutter, building on the portability of Dart, the power of the web platform, and the flexibility of
A tirar un Flutter update y cambiar al channel stable todo lo que tenemos en el channel beta.
And it's exactly the same Flutter framework. It's not a fork, it's not a different edition. The web is just another device target for your app. So not every web page makes sense in Flutter, but we think that Flutter is particularly suited for app-centric
Sí, y FM Flutter upgrade y tirar un clean y un rebuild de todo y después deployar.
Installation, offline support, and tailored user experiences. Single page apps that deliver a client-rendered experience, and existing Flutter mobile apps that want a fast path to the browser. So I thought it'd be fun to chat with Dion Almeida, who is responsible for the web developer ecosystem here at Google, including, of course, the Chrome browser, and get his take on how Flutter fits more broadly to the web platform as a whole.
Esperemos que hayan arreglado el tema de performance en Firefox o en alguno otro browser que no sea en Chrome, porque en Firefox andaba bastante feito, la verdad. Por lo menos en modo developer.
You know, we think the web is an incredibly broad tent. It was born as a content platform and enables richer capabilities for publishers than ever. But we've seen this open platform evolve into a great one for use cases such as commerce and, of course, apps. Now, the broad tent has allowed for many web frameworks and approaches to innovate, offering you, the developer, choice. And there's plenty of room for Flutter to join the fun. Now, the web has many strengths, including ubiquity and reach. So if you're building a Flutter app, you now get to reach users outside of app stores. And with the power of URLs, users across operating systems or device types could be directed to any part of your app, from links that are shared by friends, clicked on in search, from an email, from anywhere. So I remember when Spotify came into CDS one year and shared their story of their first progressive web app.
Sí, igual hay que ver si habría que probar este beta a ver si cambió algo de la última versión Perdón, la versión estable, a ver si cambió algo de la versión de beta, pero sí, la última versión de la semana pasada, por lo menos que probé, todavía le faltaba en algunas cositas.
First, platform improvements. These enable fast performant rendering.
Sí, me pasó igual, quise hacer un diseño web para probar de una landing page para una aplicación y como que no podía salir de lo cuadrado de Material Design sin hacer muchas magias con imágenes.
On the one hand, a world-class developer experience for app development, and with the other, the web platform ingredients that can be incorporated by the Flutter engine, so you get improvements for free as both Flutter and the web evolve. Now, we've seen this at work, as Flutter's web support has transitioned from tech preview to beta to now production. The Flutter team were able to try different rendering approaches, starting with the DOM, but then CanvasKit taking advantage of new APIs to help with ergonomics and speed up performance. This is where WebAssembly and WebGL open the door for massive optimizations, which the Flutter team has done wonders with. We're collaborating in many other areas, such as improving text
metrics. Sí, de hecho a lo de responsing le están dando mucha bola en The Boring Show, ese que sale cada tanto en el canal de Flutter. Los últimos dos se lo dedicaron exclusivamente a cómo hacer cosas responsive, tanto mobile como web.
So with the Flutter and Chrome team working well together, we can iterate on web platform features.
Bueno, esto que dicen ahora de que Flutter y Chrome team trabajando together me hace pensar que a Firefox le va a seguir faltando performance, y Safari y Windows supongo, y Microsoft Edge supongo que lo mismo.
And I can't wait to see what you, the developer, do here, because I've seen how the Flutter community always delivers on high quality creative experiences.
Dion, thank you so much. It's great to have you join us.
Thanks again, Tim. Appreciate it.
So, since we announced beta support for the web, we've been focusing on
Tiene una risa rara con los ojitos chinitos así que se pone cuando se ríe.
Optimize the core Flutter framework for the web. Perhaps the biggest thing that we've been working on since the preview, as Dion mentioned, is performance, and we've been making a ton of progress. We recently switched our default for the desktop browser over to a new CanvasKit renderer that combines Skia and WASM to couple a lightning-fast web graphics engine with the productivity and ease of use of Flutter. And we're seeing huge performance gains as a result. So I want to show you an example of this with a demo from Felix Blaschke, who's a developer
Vamos a ver qué nos muestra en el demo, a ver si se ve algo que haya mejorado. Bueno, eso se ve bastante lindo. Pero quiero verlo en Firefox. Ah, lo podemos correr después de esto. flutterplasma.dev, me lo voy a anotar. Ok, el videito se ve bastante lindo. Ahora después lo vamos a correr en Firefox cuando termine el Engage. A ver qué tanto performance tiene.
Even more fun. I can take the same demo and run it multiple times simultaneously on the same machine, thanks to the power of Flutter.
Ok, ahí estamos viendo un Firefox a la izquierda abajo. Estamos viendo Safari, creo que es el de arriba a la derecha, y el de abajo a la derecha no estoy seguro.
So performance is important,
No lo
but
mostraron
it's not
completo
the
igual,
only thing that we need. A Flutter app that's running in the browser should feel like a web app. So we've been adding features to Flutter that help you use the best of the web. For example, hyperlink widgets, text autofill, control over address bar URLs and routing, and PWA manifests. And thirdly, we want to make Flutter web experiences feel right, whether you're using a mobile phone or a laptop with a keyboard and mouse, and regardless of what shape and size your browser window is. So we've added interactive scroll bars and keyboard shortcuts. We've increased the default content density in desktop modes. And we've added screen reader support for accessibility on Windows, Mac, and Chrome OS. I want to show you one example of the kind of app that shines really well on the web. iRobot is the company behind the popular Roomba robot vacuums, but they also have coding robots that empower the next generation of innovators. Let's take a look at their root robots.
Your child may have what it takes to become the next great digital visionary. You just have to allow it to take root. Coding shouldn't be something just computer
Ahora después
scientists do.
los miro a ver qué onda.
It should be something everyone can do. And Root makes that possible. It's easy for coding to feel abstract, but Root teaches computer programming in a new way. It starts with a language
Quiero un
so
robotito de
simple
esos
that a young child can
para jugar con
use
las
even
nenas.
before they know how to read.
iRobot
así
built their
programamos
app
con
with
mis
Flutter,
hijas.
and today they're launching the web version of their experience. So here you can see the app running in the browser using the same code as their tablet app. On the left side, you can see their visual code editor, which lets you drag and drop commands and flow structures that will run on the robot. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see a simulator that shows a virtual robot and lets you test out your app before running it on the real thing. They have a whole library filled with different project ideas and 3 different coding levels within the project aimed at different age levels. And of course, everything you see here is built with Flutter, including the simulator, with the same code shared between iOS, Android, and web browser. It's really cool to see iRobot using Flutter for educational purposes, and I hope you'll check it out yourself at code.irobot.com. Of course, we're using Flutter's web support ourselves. One example that will be familiar to most of you is Dartpad, our web-based scratch pad for exploring Flutter and Dart code. We also use it throughout our documentation, so you
Hoy
can
vi en
see how
Twitter que
to work
anunciaron
with a widget
otro
inline in your browser without first having to
otro
copy it
editor
into your
web
app.
que soporta packages,
There's
que se
so
llama
much more
Zapt,
to
creo.
say about running
Tiene muy
Flutter
buena
on the
pinta
web.
también.
And so we have a breakout session dedicated to this topic, where Mariam Hasnani and John Ryan walk through building and deploying a web app with Flutter. So you've already seen how portable Flutter is, with the ability to go from mobile to web. And the great thing about building on open source foundations like Skia is that we can take this work further still, including 3 platforms that together reach well in excess of 1 billion users: Windows, Mac, and Linux. Today, we're delighted to announce that we're also opening up desktop to the stable channel of Flutter,
Upa,
enabled
en
with an early release
estables.
flag.
Muy bien.
This release lets you produce
Tenemos todas las
standalone
plataformas
executables
estables.
for each platform.
No me lo esperaba, Yo
macOS,
esperaba un
Linux,
beta
and
para
Windows.
eso.
And you can even use the developer tooling provided on each platform.
Yo creo que eso
to
es
submit apps into the
resultado
store.
de Canonical, que le
We're
estuvo metiendo
excited
muchas
that everyone
fichas
can now
y
run
hoy
Flutter
anunció que iba a hacer todas las
natively
aplicaciones de
on their
Ubuntu
development workstation.
en Flutter.
This isn't just our work. It's been a
Lo cual está bueno porque vamos a
community
poder tener la misma aplicación que usamos en
Microsoft
Ubuntu por
has
ahí en
contributed
Android
a
o en
number of
iOS
pull
en un
requests to the
futuro.
Flutter engine
Eso está muy
to
bueno
use the
también.
latest Windows runtime APIs when running on Windows
No sé, si
10.
ellos hacen un cliente de
On
correo
Linux,
electrónico y a vos te
Canonical
gusta,
has been a
ahí están
fantastic
avisando lo de
partner,
Ubuntu.
and I'd like to have them tell you about some of their contributions to Flutter.
Hello, I'm Ken Van Dyne, Engineering Manager for Ubuntu Desktop at Canonical. When desktop application support in Flutter was announced, we saw an exciting opportunity to make Linux distributions, including Ubuntu, an attractive target platform for Flutter app developers. Flutter's native multi-platform story is growing rapidly, and we wanted to be at the vanguard. We worked with the Flutter team to bring desktop Linux support to Flutter, making it easy for app developers to publish their apps for Linux. By making Linux a first-class platform in Flutter, we are inviting application developers to publish their apps to millions of Linux users and broaden the availability of high-quality
Sí,
applications.
y yo creo que la idea es cambiar Electron por estas cosas.
We not only enabled Flutter for Linux, we also worked with the Flutter team to publish the Flutter SDK as a snap in the Snap Store, the App Store for Linux. By publishing the Flutter SDK as a snap,
Bueno, lo de Snap tiene bastante controvertido en la comunidad open source. Hay mucha gente que se opone a los Snap, todavía no entiendo por qué. No sé, técnicamente no les gustará a la gente. No investigué mucho.
We're at a very exciting point in our Flutter journey. Linux support for desktop apps is rich enough that we can recommend it for developers to use today. We continue to support Flutter for Linux, keeping it in sync with other desktop platforms. But that's just the start. We also want to give developers a rich toolbox of window types to create effective user interfaces across platforms. To do so, we will work to bring full multi-window support to Flutter for Desktop across all the desktop platforms.
Eso está muy bueno. Multi-window no teníamos todavía en Flutter for Desktop. Había algunos hacks. Lo único que tendría que revisar ahora es si podemos hacer la ventana transparente que siempre quise hacer y nunca pude.
We are working on enabling popular Flutter plugins for Linux, including Flutter support for Firebase, Bluetooth, network connectivity, desktop notifications, and more. Furthermore,
sí, olvídate, sería demasiado bueno si puedo hacer la ventana transparente.
Desktop, we thought it would be nice to bring along the Ubuntu style as well. Ubuntu has a very distinct style, which we are proud of. We call this style Yaru, which is a community-led effort within Ubuntu. We have worked with the Yaru team to bring Yaru to Flutter, which takes material as the base and applies the Ubuntu style, colors, and fonts. This enables app developers targeting Ubuntu to match the distinct Ubuntu style with ease. Now that we have enabled Flutter for Linux, for other app developers, it's time to further our commitment by building our own Linux apps with Flutter. As we've already announced, we are developing our next generation Ubuntu desktop installer in Flutter.
Installer en Flutter, ¿qué tal, che?
Who installs Ubuntu desktop will be doing so with our new installer built in Flutter using the Yaru style. Along with the new installer,
¿vamos a poder correr el installer de Ubuntu en Android? ¿Qué dice?
Also be powered by Flutter.
Instalamos Ubuntu arriba de Android.
Installer as our first app written in Flutter is a bold move, to say the least. It's the first thing our users see, and as everyone knows, that first impression is critical. It not only has to be beautiful, it has to be robust and reliable. It has to run on a wide range of hardware, ranging from old PCs or laptops.
Sí, debería correr, salvo que tenga algún plugin específico que no esté para mobile, algo muy loco de interacción con el hardware o la parte base debería poder correr.
We feel Flutter is up for the task, and choosing it for the installer is telling the world that choosing Flutter for Linux apps is a great choice. The desktop team had not only worked to make Linux a first-class citizen in Flutter, Flutter is the default choice for future desktop and mobile apps created by Canonical. We look forward to working with you. Thanks.
Es una apuesta grande de
Thanks so
Canonical,
much, Ken.
la verdad.
It's a really big deal for us that you picked Flutter for the very first experience users
Pero bueno,
have
ya
with
Canonical en el pasado ya había
And we're
hecho
looking
sí
forward to
algunas
continuing to
preferencias
work with
en ciertas plataformas. En
So,
un
we
pasado
talked
había
about
elegido
how the
Mono
key theme
para
for
hacer
the
aplicaciones
Flutter
en
2
C
release is
Sharp
portability,
y
upgrading your
hacer
code
un poco
to be able
más
to run
ágil
on
el desarrollo
6
de las
different
aplicaciones con
platforms,
GTK y
iOS,
Mono.
Android,
O sea,
web,
ahora se fueron a
Windows,
Flutter, se ve,
macOS, and Linux.
con Dart.
But there are even more screens out there beyond the kind of operating system that you might have on your phone or your PC. So I'm delighted to introduce another customer who is using Flutter to bring beautiful user interfaces to light in a
Raspberry Pi.
critical part of their own
A ver.
product.
No, Toyota.
is the world's biggest selling automaker with over 9.5
Miren,
million
las
vehicles
pantallas de los
sold in
autos van a venir con
2020.
Flutter.
And with cars, beautiful tailored user experiences matter. Toyota are building Flutter right into the heart of their core product. And so I want to hand over to Daniel Hall to share more about their plans with Flutter.
Hello, I'm Daniel Hall, Chief
Si
Engineer
compras la
at
nueva
Toyota
Hilux te viene con Flutter, un
as well
golazo.
as Global Chief UX Designer at Toyota Connected. Basically what that means is I'm responsible for leading design and development for our next generation in-vehicle infotainment systems. Today we're excited to announce that Toyota is partnering with Flutter to bring a best-in-market digital experience.
Che, te mando un
to
PR
vehicles
para...
by
No sé.
building
Ya, mirá lo que el tamaño de la
infotainment
pantalla es.
systems
Qué
powered
lejos
by
que estoy de
Flutter.
tener un auto así.
Using Flutter marks a large departure in approach from how in-vehicle software has been developed in the past. While we're not ready to share our final product just yet, we'll take
Ahora
a
me la
little
pongo en
bit
la
of
primera
time
esquina, voy
to
mirando
talk about
películas
why
ahí
we
mientras
chose
manejo. O
Flutter
sea,
and
no se
how
puede
we're
manejar
using
así.
it at Toyota. So, why did we pick Flutter? At Toyota, we continually evaluate options for bringing the best possible user experiences to our customers. Flutter immediately caught our eye for a number of reasons. Foremost, Toyota customers expect a consistent and high-performance in-vehicle user experience to match the overall quality of Toyota vehicles. Flutter's rendering engine provides good performance in a constrained environment, and features like AOT compilation give us the consistency we're looking for in an in-vehicle technology. Flutter also
No sé si llegaron a ver ahí, pero el de iRobot me pedía que use Chrome, no me dejaba usar Firefox.
Everyone can probably think of a bad experience they've had interacting with touchscreen apps outside of their mobile phones. These apps are often sluggish or just don't feel quite right. What we're doing with Flutter at Toyota directly addresses that problem by leveraging Flutter's cross-platform mechanics. Flutter's done a great job of packaging touch mechanics that just feel right no matter where they run. Finally, after noting Flutter's performance traits, we were really sold on Flutter's developer experience. Despite releasing our apps on a single target platform, we leverage all the multi-platform tools that Flutter provides for the pipeline from design all the way to release. Even as an alpha feature, desktop support combined with hot reload provides a fast development workflow. The variety of different release targets that Flutter supports, such as iOS and Android tablets, are useful for all sorts of physical and digital user testing. We can even leverage web support as an integration into design tools to improve our feedback cycle with product designers. Of course, this developer-friendly workflow isn't just for our own benefit.
Nice, está el tag ya, buenísimo. Lo habían hecho hace 5 minutos mientras hablaban.
In-vehicle software development, resulting in a better customer experience. A technology that enables high productivity with a relatively low barrier to
Sí,
entry
a las 2 cuando empezó el
allows us
evento.
to create a tighter overall
Qué timing, estar ahí con el dedito para decir,
and
lo mando,
engineering
pusheo, pusheo el release,
These
pusheo.
faster iteration cycles allow us to collect and integrate feedback from our customers earlier and more often, which helps us create the best experience for our customers. We talked a little bit about why we chose Flutter, but what are we doing with it that is unique to Toyota? Well, to start with, we're using Flutter.
Sí, olvídate, a las 2:01 voy a esperar por las dudas. Sobre todo las cosas que tengo corriendo, por ahí voy a hacer alguna prueba en alguna aplicación que no esté de alguno de los videos.
Cross-compiling the engine and wrapping it in an embedder. The embedder API is fairly easy to use and allows us to integrate our Flutter apps with in-vehicle systems. Additionally, we've created several in-house tools that enhance Flutter's developer ergonomics by extending them to include our design process all under the same umbrella. Our overall goal is to support a workflow that enables design tools to generate code so that validation and running software is immediate. Both Dart's language design and the Flutter SDK's software design have enabled us to support such tooling. For example, Flutter's approach to declarative UI and code as configuration allows us to very easily perform code generation based on designs.
Estas son todas las razones por las que Toyota lo elige. Digamos, podrían haber hecho las mismas elecciones con otro framework, otra tecnología. No significa que sean las mismas razones para todos. Así que, no sé, voy a entrar a la página de Toyota a ver si piden, están buscando gente, tiramos currículum, ¿no? ¿Cómo se ven en Japón desarrollando Flutter?
So, from cars to web browsers to laptops.
Para mí no hay que ser, no hay que pelear con otras tecnologías. Cada una tiene su cuota de mercado, tiene su razón de existir. Lo mismo que ahora con Post, que está en beta y está bastante bueno también. Le va a cambiar la vida a muchos desarrolladores Android cuando lo empiecen a usar.
Let's now go one level deeper.
A ver, vamos a ver qué pasa en el lenguaje ahora. A ver si vienen las sealed classes de una vez por todas. Seguramente viene el anuncio de nulabilidad.
For starters, as you've seen already, Dart is portable with compilers that generate highly performant Intel and ARM machine code for mobile and desktop, as well as highly optimized JavaScript output from the web. The same Flutter framework source code compiles to all these targets. Secondly, Dart enables true iterative development with stateful hot reload on desktop and mobile, as well as language constructs designed for the asynchronous concurrent patterns of the web. And thirdly, Dart offers Google class performance across all of these platforms, with sound null safety guaranteeing null constraints at runtime as well as development. There really is no other language that combines all three of these capabilities together, and it's the reason why we often talk about Dart as the secret sauce behind Flutter. Now, we've not been standing still with Dart, so Bob Nystrom is going to tell you about some of the work we've been doing in Dart to upgrade your app.
Thanks, Tim. I'm very happy to tell you that we have shipped null safety for Dart.
Este en vez de programador también podría haber sido músico. Sin ningún drama, tiene toda la pinta. Salvo por la camisita cuadro.
With null safety, we didn't just add non-nullable types to the type system, we also added a slew of features like smarter flow analysis, late variables, and required named parameters, so that your Dart code isn't just safe, but easy to write. These changes are so big, in fact, that the only reason we aren't calling this release Dart 3 is because we managed to ship null safety without breaking your code. Instead, we allow null-safe code to coexist with null-unsafe code. This lets you migrate to null safety incrementally when you want. And we provide
tiene buena pinta los parlantitos que tiene atrás. Tiene pinta de que suenan bien. Y aparte tiene un pianito, o sea, se ve que el chabón le hace la música también.
That means that when your program is fully migrated, the type system guarantees, like a mathematical proof, that no non-nullable expression can ever evaluate to null. This guarantee is great for confidence in your code, but it's even more valuable for the compiler. Chips are so complex today that we need sophisticated compilers to make the most of the hardware. Compiler optimization is often about detecting that some operation isn't needed and eliminating it, but that optimization is only safe to perform if the compiler can prove that the operation is never needed. Sound null safety gives the compiler that proof when it comes to null checks. Here's some Dart code. The getAge function simply returns the value of a field on a given instance. Here's the assembly code our compiler generated before null safety. Since the parameter to getAge could be null, the compiler has to emit a null check before the field access. Here's what you get today with null safety. Since the field's type is non-nullable, there's no need to check for null. The generated code simply accesses the field. Our 10 instruction function is now only 3. That's a small change, but real
la diferencia que hay en el código que se manda al CPU,
download at install time and less to execute at runtime. Of course, working on Dart isn't just about new features. We are constantly improving the performance.
La plata tienen consolas al costado de la.
What I love from an algorithms book is efficiency determines the boundary of what is possible. When we make something twice as fast, your app can be twice as rich and interactive. Here are a couple of other improvements we've made. The Google Pay team recently rewrote their flagship app using Flutter. They ramped up fast and wrote a ton of Dart code, so much that they started hitting the wall where the size of their application was going to harm adoption. So we worked to unblock them so that they could use Flutter's
Ah, bueno, sí,
compile
pero es una
size
forma de decir.
operations,
Igual es, o
which
sea,
got their app 14% smaller
cuando es
than
hobby
most
es
of the default
plata, qué
population
sé yo.
settings.
Por más que lo puedas pagar.
Servers often speak UTF-8, but Dart's internal
Otra es si no sé, si lo usas para laburar y para
UTF-16.
generar
We found
plata,
out that UTF-8
se paga
decoding was a
solo.
bottleneck for the assistant team, so Aska on the VM team rewrote our decoder, hand authoring some parts in x64 and ARM assembly to take advantage of vector instructions. The result is anywhere from 2 to 20 times faster than before. When you want to access features unique to a hardware platform, you need some kind of interop system, which Flutter has long had using asynchronous
Ah,
platforms.
FFI todavía no pude hacer nada, no encontré nada divertido para tratar de hacer. Igual eso es como romper toda la portabilidad para un caso muy específico.
With null safety out the door, we get to turn towards the next batch of language features. I want to talk about one area we're exploring to give you a feel for
Y
how to build
en USA supongo que estarán arriba de 100k anuales, entre 100 y 140 deben estar.
non-nullable types
Los
extension
contractor andan entre 60 y 100 en general y arriba de 100 deben andar los senior developers cómodos. Aunque Google no debe pagar tanto sueldo, pero no creo que esté menos de eso.
structure, equality, hash code, and copying operations for free. It's essentially baked-in behavioral policy. The problem is that methodologies change faster than programming languages. If a few years from now users decide that persistent data structures are better than immutable value types, we can end up with deadweight language features. So what would it take to be able to define policy at the library level? How could we enable
Data classes, esto es buenísimo. Esto lo tiene Kotlin y es buenísimo que lo agreguen ahora.
Metaprogramming, code that produces other code. Metaprogramming is already common in
O
Dart
era un
using
package.
code generation.
No, me
If
perdí
you've
ahora.
used Angular
Me
Dart or a
distraje.
built value package, you've already run Dart code that generated other Dart into your app. But code generators can feel heavyweight and opaque and kind of bolted on. So we're exploring adding static metaprogramming features directly to the language.
Sí,
Our
sí,
goal
sí,
is
sí.
to enable frameworks
Estoy de
like Flutter
acuerdo.
to eliminate
Kotlin
some of
es
the verbose
sintácticamente y para escribir códigos superior a Dart hoy en día.
You could use it to define a
Igual
data
Dart
class that
va
feels
yendo a
natural
copiar
to
muchas de esas
data
funcionalidades. Como
Now,
explicaban
we don't know what the
antes, a
solution
nivel
will look like yet, but we're actively
de lenguaje y de cómo corre el lenguaje,
Okay, that's a lot to absorb about the language. but
Dart
crafting
es
is
mucho
no
más
use
conveniente
if you directly write
al no
code.
tener la
So
virtual
next,
machine de
Kenzie's going
Java.
to talk about developer tools.
Pero sí, como lenguaje a nivel semántico y sintáctico,
everyone,
yo prefiero
I'm
Kotlin
Kenzie from the
también.
Flutter team, and today I'll be showing off 4 new tooling highlights available with Flutter 2.
Ahí viene el
The
tema de las
first new feature
herramientas
we'll
que vamos a
look
tener
at
nuevas.
is one we call Flutter Fix. As part of Flutter 2, we've done a lot of work on consistency and tidying up the framework to make our APIs more approachable and to make your code cleaner. Now, I know what you're thinking. Framework improvements are great and bring all sorts of new and improved functionality to you, but usually they also come with some breaking changes to
Me
your
sorprende
code.
que Emily
Well,
Fortuna
fear
todavía no
not,
haya
because what we've
aparecido en
also
alguno de
done
los
as part
videos.
of Flutter 2 is created a tool called Flutter Fix that does all the heavy lifting for you.
That's
to migrate
okay.
deprecated
60.
APIs to
I
your
was
code
saying
base.
that yes,
For
I agree with
example,
you.
I have
Kotlin
the
is
budget
better
tracker
than Dart
project open in IntelliJ.
in syntactic and
And this is a sample app
semantics,
that hasn't
but
been
for
updated in a
Flutter,
couple
Dart
years now.
has some
So now that I
advantages
updated
that
to Flutter
Kotlin
2,
cannot
it
provide
has some analysis
because it's
errors to
based
address.
on the Java virtual
You can
machine.
see that it's using a couple deprecated APIs. So let's click on one of these warnings and see how we can solve the problem. I can see the deprecated member here, as well as the quick fix icon. And the quick fix option allows me to automatically migrate my code to the new API. So now I can see my code has been updated and the warnings have gone away. We've added quick fix rules just like this one all throughout Flutter. And as we move forward with new breaking changes in future versions, we'll add new quick fixes to help you migrate your code. Flutter Fix helps us keep the API fresh without breaking your code, so give it a try. And now that we've moved our budget tracker to Flutter 2, let's move on to the second feature I'll be showing off today, null safety in Dart. To do this, we'll fire up the null safety migration tool with the Dart migrate command. Right now, my code is in a state where null safety is not enabled, but the migration tool will enable Dart null safety and help me migrate my code so that it's compatible with the null safe runtime. So I'll open the tool, and this tool analyzes our code to determine what can be non-null and what should be nullable. And from this, the analysis tool displays suggested changes with the explanations for those changes. So for our case, all looks good to me, and I'm just going to go ahead and accept the changes and apply this migration. So if I come back into my code, I can see that my code has been updated to null safe Dart. And now that we've migrated our code to null safety, we can still use nullable types, but by default, our object references will not be nullable. eliminating a whole class of bugs from our app, making our app smaller, faster, and more robust. And that's just the tip of the iceberg on null safety in Dart and on the migration tool. So check out the null safety deep dive to learn more. For the third tooling highlight of the day, I'm going to show you some new Flutter debugging tools. So let's do a little bit of work on the budget tracker app.
Sí, viene por defecto, ya venía integrado. En la primera versión ya tenía null safety. De hecho era como el caballito de batalla apenas salió Kotlin.
Everything looks good also in landscape mode. Oh, and it does not. So it looks like we have an exception here in the run console. And I can see that a render flex overflowed by 282 pixels on the bottom. Now, looking at this error output, I can actually directly navigate to the error causing widget in my code. But that's not as helpful as we'd like, because what I'd really like to be able to do is go directly from an error message to inspecting that widget in Flutter DevTools. But luckily, we have created a new feature that allows me to do exactly this. So when an overflow error occurs, your IDE will show you a message in the bottom right window of your screen. And this message describes the error that
Esto va para buen camino, me parece. Ese típico error que nos molesta todo el tiempo.
In the Flutter DevTools Inspector. So let's do that.
¿Será momento de volver a Android Studio y dejar Visual Code? ¿O también estará para Visual Code esto?
We can see this directly in our IDE. Using the inspector in the past would have required you to open DevTools in your browser.
Hey,
but now
thanks
we actually
for the
embedded
subscription,
directly
for the
in
follow.
your IDE. So whether you're using VS Code, IntelliJ, or Android Studio, you'll always have access to this powerful tool that gives you insights into your running Flutter app. So let's get back to the problem at hand and use the Layout Explorer to solve this issue. I can see that I have some unconstrained heights here. So let's fiddle with the flex values in the Layout Explorer to see if I can fix the problem. And there we go. Problem solved. The overflow error went away. And now I know that the single child scroll view was just missing a flex value of 1. And that means it needs to be wrapped in a flexible widget. So what I will do is come over here and wrap this single child scroll view in a flexible widget. So now it has the flex value of 1 that it needs. And if I come into the run console here, do a hot reload, I can see that there are no more exceptions and the issue has been resolved in the app.
Está bueno el feature. Hay que ver si se adapta bien a todos los errores que solemos tener, pero tiene buena pinta. Supongo, como se usa el DevTools, supongo que Visual Studio Code, si lo abrís el Visual Studio, el DevTools en el browser, no vas a tener problema.
I've already shown you how the inspector can be embedded in the IDE, but you can also open DevTools in the browser, where you'll not only have access to the inspector, but also more sophisticated debugging tools for things like performance.
Yo es una herramienta que no me acostumbro a abrir el Dev Inspector, no, el DevTool no lo suelo abrir nunca. Quizás es un error y tendría que darle más bola.
By popular demand, we have added the ability to show a visual representation of fixed layout details in the Layout Explorer, in addition to the flex layouts we already support. So now you can debug layout issues for all kinds of layouts. We've also added an app size debugging tool to DevTools, so let's see this in action with the Budget Tracker app.
Eso está muy bueno.
I have already created the size analysis file for my app, so I'll go ahead and import that and analyze the size. We can use this tree map in the tree table below to explore our app size and visualize the space occupied by different classes and libraries. Looking at the overview of my app, the assets are a little concerning. I only use one image in this application called Headshot, and it's rendered as a really small avatar in the app. But I can see here it's taking up 1.6 megabytes of space, which seems like way too much for such a small image. So now I can revisit my assets and optimize the image or use a smaller version.
Eso está bueno.
And then I can verify the improvement using the diff viewer in the app size tool. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have. So be sure to check out the Flutter 2 announcement post to see all the highlights and new features. To get these tools, all you have to do is run Flutter upgrade to get the latest Flutter 2 build. Thanks for tuning in. Back to you, Tim.
Thanks, Kenzie. Our developer tools are another example of the unique flexibility of Flutter, built with Flutter, for Flutter, and integrated into whatever tool you're running. And for those of you who want to hear more about how Dart null safety works and how to migrate your apps to null safety, check out the breakout session from Leif Peterson. Okay, so we've seen how Flutter 2 expands Flutter from mobile to web, desktop, and embedded devices. We've talked about Dart as the secret sauce that provides Flutter with a portable, productive language runtime with new features such as sound null safety that offer increased robustness and performance. But the Flutter ecosystem is much broader than just what we provide. In fact, there are over 15,000 packages now for Flutter and Dart from big companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Adobe, Huawei, Alibaba, eBay, and Square, to packages like Lottie, SQLite, and SVG.
Yo también hice un paquete, no me nombraron, me hubiera sentido ofendido.
Useful functionality for others to use. One great example of a useful package is from Sentry, who are publishing a major update to their Flutter SDK for their popular crash management and release tooling. This package provides tools to help developers ensure their app is healthy on all their target platforms, offering deep insights into exceptions and crashes, whether they occur in Flutter or in underlying components. We're also today announcing a major update to our Flutter plugins for several core Firebase services: authentication, Cloud Firestore, Cloud Functions, Cloud Messaging, Cloud Storage, and Crash.
No podía fallar.
We've updated all these packages to support sound null safety, and we've overhauled the Cloud Messaging package in particular.
¿Y andarán en desktop?
Major package we're releasing today, and I want to hand over to Zoe Fan to tell you all about it.
Ok, está bien la parte de Firebase que a
Hello,
nadie le
everyone.
gusta.
My name is Zoe. I am a product manager on the Flutter team. There are many ways that mobile developers get paid for their work. Monetizing apps via ads is probably one of the most popular paths for many mobile developers. Today, we support ad formats such as overlay banner, interstitial, and rewarded video ads. However, many developers have been asking us, where is inline banner? Where is native ad?
Sí, el soporte AdMob cuando lo probé era malísimo para los banners.
Developers want to display ads as part of their content in existing Flutter view and customize it to match the look and feel of the app.
A ver qué anuncian ahora.
Therefore, today we're excited
Muy bueno.
to announce an open beta.
Eso lo vamos a tener que hacer en un video pronto para ver cómo se usa.
This is a brand new plugin that
Vamos a actualizar el juego del arcado para usar este nuevo SDK en lugar de lo que estábamos usando antes.
Also, in this plugin, we're unifying the support for Ad Manager and AdMob, so no matter what size publisher you are, this plugin is able to tailor to your scenarios. We've been piloting this plugin with some of our early customers in a private beta program, and many of them have successfully launched their apps with these new formats. Sua Musica is one of them. Today, it is our great pleasure to have Alan, the CTO of Sua Musica, to share his experience with us all. Let's welcome Alan.
Hi, I'm Alan, and as Zoe told you, I'm the CTO of Sua Musica.
Suena a empresa brasilera, ¿no? Sí, tenía toda la ficha.
For independent artists in the world. We support more than 16,000 verified artists in publishing and distributing their music on the platform to more than 10 million monthly active users. Our content is 100% user-generated, meaning anyone is invited to upload music they've created. In 2020, we rewrote our Android and iOS apps in Flutter and started testing the Google Ads beta plugin. Since we are a free platform and we need to monetize each user the best way possible, we must have a great UX UI, but how it's done today, with overlay banners, we can hardly call it an okay experience. Because of that, we were excited to be invited to participate in the private beta of the Ads plugin, where we could implement those banners in the widget tree, at last, just like a normal widget. Simple and clean. This made it possible for us to create the best experience possible for our users, while still monetizing from advertising. Okay, let me show you how it works. We want to put our banner right here on this part of the album page, so when we scroll, it will scroll together. We start by creating a stateless widget.
Con el framework anterior con el que yo hice el juego del arcado, no podías scrollear el gozo, era como un overlay arriba el banner, lo cual era una porquería para la experiencia de usuario. Y encima andaba muy mal cuando te ibas de la pantalla y volvías.
Listener and the publisher add request. We can never forget to load the banner. On our listeners, we're gonna listen for the loaded and the failed events and print on screen if needed. On our container now, we just need to put our width and height, and the magic widget that will do the trick, the add widget that receives our defined banner. Now we just need to add our newly created widget to that part of the page. It's the SM banner. Add unit, I'm going to put the add unit defined before. It's the add mod.
Qué valiente el que hizo el upgrade ya, Muy bien.
Put the large banner, it's the 320 by 100. Just need to save, hot reload, and it should appear right now. Okay, we forgot to save the widget. Okay, hot reloading. And there's the banner. It should also appear in every page.
Golazo, ¿eh? Esto para monetizar va a cambiar un montón los que monetizan con ads en Flutter. Hacer un golazo, tener banners que los puedas ubicar en cualquier lado y que no sean tan molestos para el usuario final. Va a ayudar un montón.
50% increase on impressions with a 43% increase on CTR and 13% increase on our eCPM.
Y si soporta el Ad Manager significa que podemos insertar ads en web de manera fácil en el mismo código que insertamos ads en mobile. Seguramente.
Thank you, Alan, for sharing your experience. And also, huge thanks to many other developers who helped to beta test this new plugin and make our mobile ad solution more robust. The Google Mobile Ads SDK for Flutter is available today for you to download from pub.dev. We hope this new plugin helps you unlock more revenue growth for your Flutter apps.
Y no me extrañaría que Qt se suba al tren.
Via ads. We have a breakout session later, and we look forward to seeing you there. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you, Zoe. You know, community is at the heart of all we do as an open source project. We have over 750 contributors to the core Flutter framework alone, to say nothing of the tens of thousands of you from around the world who organize and attend meetups, write blogs and samples, create packages, and file issues and feature requests. Flutter is an attempt to raise the bar for UI development everywhere, and so it's not just a Google product, it belongs to all of us. As someone who's been privileged to be able to travel around the world and meet with people using Flutter, I'm particularly excited by the impacts Flutter has made in Africa,
KDE for
where
Android,
there are some of the most creative
and iOS,
and entrepreneurial
and web.
developers I know, drawing attention to an often overlooked part of the world. So I wanted to introduce you to a few friends now.
I'm a Flutter developer from Lagos, Nigeria.
A software engineer from Ghana.
Mombasa, Kenya.
Port Harcourt, Nigeria.
Luanda, Angola. I'm a Flutter dev from Ghana.
Towards the end of 2017, I just saw that Flutter is released and it's by Google.
I discovered Flutter in 2018.
I discovered Flutter from communities.
From a friend of mine.
A friend of mine introduced me to Flutter.
Turning my designs into full-fledged applications was always a painful process until I stumbled upon the Flutter website early last year. I spent a while building a few CSS-inspired effects for web using Flutter. What I love most is the creative freedom.
Este es el otro segmento inspiracional.
So I've built a couple of apps for
barra
clients.
community.
I have built a couple of user interfaces and shared them on GitHub. You have the freedom to arrange code the way you like. That is really important to me and it fascinates me.
With Hot Reload, you can basically sit side by side with a designer and change themes, colors, designs, and preview it as you're doing it. And I've worked on 5 different real-life applications using Flutter.
Flutter gives me complete control over my interface. There are no limits to what we can do with Flutter.
I get a couple of my inspirations from my own designs and then designs from Dribble, from other people, and looking at existing native applications, I can be able to say, okay, what if I try to build this in Flutter?
I love design, and it's always exciting to bring designs to life. I love how I'm able to build consistent UIs across platforms, and I love how my apps run very fast.
So Flutter has opened doors for me.
I have gotten a couple of jobs from Flutter.
I get the opportunity to earn a living for myself doing something I really do enjoy.
It has enabled me to work with companies in India, in the UK, and in the US. This is my Flutter story.
That's my story.
So we've got lots of other great content for you today. There are 4 breakout sessions. There are some community sessions. There's a leadership roundtable, AMA, with representatives from Flutter and Firebase, and new code labs and demos to explore. We hope you'll join us for some of these. But before we're done, one last video of a new Flutter app that we think you'll love. The first Wallace and Gromit feature-length story in over a decade is coming out, and it's delivered through an app built using Flutter. Let's see what the team has created.
A ver, ¿qué crearon?
Fix-Up needs your help. We're using the latest technology to invite everyone to come and help us.
Hi, I'm Beth, Product Manager at Fictioneers, and I'm here with my colleague Rex to talk about a brand new project we've been working on for the last 18 months. It's a new storytelling experience featuring the lovable Wallace and Gromit, and it's called Wallace and Gromit, The Big Fix-Up. Our goal with The Big Fix-Up was to create an innovative app that delivered meaningful content to your smartphone, spanning a variety of different types of media in real time. For us, harnessing Flutter was an obvious choice. It was a great fit for the breadth of media we wanted to share, as well as for the real-time storytelling components. Firstly, Flutter and its plugin community enabled us to quickly navigate a complex native integration. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague Rex Raphael, our senior software engineer. Rex developed an open source Unity integration specifically for our project, which is available for developers now.
With just 1 week, we're able to ensure compatibility of our Unity AR tech stack, such as AR Core, AR Foundation, and all the libraries. And we're quickly able to validate and establish the value of presenting the casual gameplay and media in Flutter using less resources while having rich but shorter AR interactions provided by Unity. Moving forward, Flutter plugin API made it easy to maintain the interaction. Meta Channel API is easy to understand and allows us to make bidirectional communications between Flutter and Unity while retaining that beautiful and high-performance Flutter rendering engine that just makes our app look and feels great.
Thanks to Flutter's animation support, we were able to quickly create a unique look and feel for our Wallace and Gromit app through animations and user interface. In particular, the pre-designed behavior made it easier for us to achieve our goals. From that, we then customized the
Tiene unas animaciones en la pantalla de esos rebotes cuando cambia de pantalla, ese tipo de cosas, tan piolas.
Using Adobe After Effects, Body Moving, and Lottie. Something that really helped in terms of efficiency was that we were able to validate our approach to the UI through wireframing. Thanks to existing material component library, we were able to quickly bring together components that built the backbone of our application. Iterating on our wireframe app to bring in custom, higher fidelity design components was helped greatly by the component-based architecture. Overall, Flutter helped us to achieve our ambitious vision of storytelling, and we're really excited to see where we can take it in the future. If you want to check out how we've used Flutter and play the Big Fix-Up yourself, you can download the app now for free on the App Store or Google Play.
Interesante, la verdad. Se ve que le pusieron bastante laburo. Creo que acaba de terminar el evento, por lo menos. A ver.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Brogdon and welcome to the Ask Flutter Leadership Roundtable live at Flutter Engage. How live are we, you might ask? Let's just say there's a decent chance my daughter might wander in here at some point. So if you see a 4-foot-tall version of me wander into the shop...
Ah, sí, 3 horas. No tengo 3 horas. Bueno, no voy a estar las 3 horas porque en 10 minutos tengo una reunión. Pero bueno, creo que la parte más importante la que quería ver era los anuncios. La otra la iré viendo de reojo.
Good morning, Andrew. Nice to see you. Nice to be here.
So of course you have been with Flutter since the beginning, right? Like you started with Flutter back before it was even called.
Así que bueno, gente, yo los voy a despedir porque así ya me voy preparando para mi reunión. Yo voy a seguir viendo el video offline, voy a seguir comentando por Twitter. Así nos podemos seguir también en el Discord, si ven algo interesante lo pueden dejar. Voy a mutear un cachito acá a los muchachos que están en las preguntas. Antes de irme quería probar esto. Ah, mira, levantó al final. Pero no me gustó el warning que me tiró. Quería ver esto de vuelta. Ok, estas son las cosas que yo creo que le van a hacer mal a Flutter for Web. Está bien. Que un browser soporte web Bluetooth no es algo nuevo. Así que tiene sentido por ahí que Firefox todavía no lo tenga habilitado. O yo no lo tenga habilitado en mi Firefox. Por ahí, ese es el problema. Seguramente esto es porque desde la web se puede conectar al aparatito. Algo de eso. Y lo otro que quería hacer era correr este demo. No, este no era. ¿Cuál era? Ah, el Flutter, el Plasma Dev. Este quería correr yo. A ver cómo se sentía. Por ahí en el video ustedes no lo van a apreciar, dependiendo que tanto se corte. Quiero ver qué tanto cosa. Eso es otra cosa. El tiempo de loading, esos 3 segundos que está todo en blanco, para mí eso es algo que todavía falta. Un progressive download o algo. Todavía nos está faltando. A ver cómo se siente esto. Eso rompió bastante bien. Ok. Les bajo un poco el volumen. Igual se mete por el micrófono. ¿Cómo cierro? Ah, cerrate. Ahí está. Bien. ¿Qué noté? Al final las estrellitas se torteaba bastante. El logo de Flutter también. Y cuando estaba la parte de los cuadraditos que eran como pantallitas de rectángulos grises, también se veía así como un pequeño corte entre las animaciones. Pero en general bastante bien. Bastante mejor que lo que esperaba. Este Sky es el que creo... No, Sky no. Stars, este se frena todo el tiempo y el logo cuando viene saliendo, la animación es muy mala. Se frena todo el tiempo. Así que bueno, todavía le falta a Firefox. Así que bueno, gente, muchas gracias por todo. Espero que se hayan divertido y nos estaremos viendo en otro stream. Hasta luego.